Welcome to the big fight. Now, all week long, NDTV has been showing you this poll of where the political parties seem to be with respect to the 2014 elections, and that result is something which we are just about to show you once again. It's also, of course, been a long period where Parliament has just not functioned thanks to Colgate. And all of this follows a period where the UPA has been under a certain amount of pressure on corruption fronts and non-performance fronts and paralysis fronts and what have you. So where does all of this leave us? Where are we in the terms of the political situation, and how could things change over the next year or 2 years? That's what we are here to discuss, and we have a great panel starting off by welcoming R.P.N. Singh, Minister of State for Petroleum, Natural Gas and also company law. You've got various hats, Mr. Singh. Great to have you with us. Chandan Mitra of the BJP, thanks so much for being with us. Jay Panda, Lok Sabha MP from the BJD, it's great to have you with us as well. Gaurav Bhatia, head of the legal cell of the Samajwadi Party. Mr. K.C. Tyagi, General Secretary of the JDU, and Mr. Krishna Prasad, Editor-in-Chief of Outlook. Thank you all so much for being with us. Before we go any further, let's just take a look at what exactly it is that the NDTV midterm opinion poll actually threw up. Here are the numbers. This is a poll. Yes, there's a sample size error. It's a reflection of the way the country is feeling right now. And one very clear reflection that comes out of this is that the Congress Party and the UP are certainly not doing as well as you might have hoped. And you have lost considerable ground since the last election. What can you do to turn things around?
We've had a lot of opinion polls. We had one opinion poll a few days before in some magazine. Now we have one done by NDTV, and we have another one done by another Hindi channel. If you look at all the three results, they all three are very different from each other. So as we've seen earlier, opinion polls are not a patch on what actually the people of this country want to vote for, and that is one of the reasons I think NDTV has stopped coming out with used to have a lot of polls just before the state elections, and you stopped using those polls anymore because you get it so wrong.
Just before the election, you're right. There is a possibility of sampling errors, to influence elections, but it's a large enough sample. It's come out right now, and there's a certain indication that the government is certainly not doing as well as you might have hoped it would.
Well, if you go by the opinion poll that NDTV has conducted, I agree that we are not doing as well as we should be doing. But I say these are again opinion polls done by a particular company, and if you look at the polls, you still see our allies are doing better, and the Congress could do still better. So if you look at the formation of government, it still sees the general population of this country would like a UPA 3.
It's actually not quite the case, because even if you look at alliances, the UPA seems to be trailing pretty badly. For the NDA, I guess the good news is that vis-a-vis the UPA, you might be doing much better. But you're nowhere close to being in a situation where you can form the government.
Well, I would first start by endorsing Mr. R.P.N. Singh's words of caution as far as taking opinion polls as gospel truth. They can never be. But having said that, I think they do reflect a trend, and the polls that have come so far are clearly showing two things. One, the NDA's graph is going up, and the Congress UPA's graph is going down. And this poll, Vikram, you would be more aware than me, was conducted before the Colgate scam hit the ceiling.
Just to add that the Colgate, and we are going to come to this in some detail, it's not that the Colgate scam and the BJP's behavior in Parliament has necessarily endeared people to you.
Scam after scam has taken place in UPA 2. Many of these are leftovers from UPA 1. But as a result, one thing that is certain, and this is apart from the opinion poll, these are my own my own understanding as a result of my travels across the country, that is got deeply embedded in people's mind that the UPA government is very corrupt, and that this time there will be a very strong backlash against it.
Okay.
Now, whether the BJP is going to be the
Yeah,
only
Chandra,
gainer.
in fact, that's a question I was going to ask you. That in your travels across the country, that might well be true, and to some extent, I think I would endorse that, and that's the anecdotal evidence that people are not happy with the government. At the same time, the other thing which is coming out from this, you may also have picked up on your travels, that it's not that the BJP is very clearly, as one of the principal opposition parties, you should have been the person who's really benefiting from this. It's not happening, because you're not necessarily coming across as looking in a much better position.
Look, I mean, still there is time, and we believe that it is snowballing. It is snowballing, and the NDA is definitely going to be in a position to form the government by the time the elections come around. I agree that some of the regional parties, where you have strong regional parties, they are doing very well.
Yeah.
But that includes, for instance, one of Congress's allies in Tamil Nadu is certain to lose a large number of seats, whereas the ADMK is certain
You're
to
sure
gain.
she's going to support you?
Well, it's open. I can't make a prediction, but by and large, it does appear that she is inclined towards us.
Starting with you, Jay, regional parties doing well, that seems to be one of the basic threads that we seem to be picking up. And a lot of what the poll is throwing up is also what is being matched by anecdotal evidence when you go on the ground.
I would also say that polls and the outcomes they predict ought to be taken cautiously. They should not be dismissed, because polls occasionally do have the habit of coming up and being, bang on target.
I have to say that every time there's any politician who's done well in a poll, he says don't take it lightly. When that politician is doing badly in the poll, it's not to be taken seriously at all.
In our case, our party is relatively new. It's 14 years old. And right from the beginning, we've actually relied quite a lot on external third-party neutral polls for our own internal assessments, which we don't publicize. So we do have a certain faith, even when the results are not sort of dictated by us. But the point I wish to make is something that has been the theme, which is true. Anecdotally, not just in Odisha, not just in the case of the BJD and our leader Naveen Patnaik, but many of these regional parties, you could have predicted this by going and spending a few weeks just traveling, talking to ordinary people, sitting and having cups of tea at a dhaba. And in our case, certainly, anybody who has been tracking Odisha, even our opposition parties in private, will tell you that that's the case.
Parties like yourselves, which were once part of the NDA and were supporting the BJP, could do that again in the next government formation? Or this time, are you going to say, look, one of us is going to form the government, you come along and support us?
Our position has been very clear for now nearly 4 years. We are not in an alliance with the NDA. We are equidistant from both the NDA and the UPA. And the people of Odisha are rewarding that. They're recognizing that we are doing right by them.
Okay.
So there is no reason for us to look back on that policy.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.